Everybody ready for winter? Got your out of storage and all the firewood laid in? All that good stuff. It's on its way. Thought I'd open this morning with Gary Snyder's adaptation of the Mohawk Thanksgiving prayer. The real one takes about 15 or 20 minutes to do, because you basically thank all of creation. And that's a lot. And it's worth doing sometime. Gratitude to Mother Earth, sailing through night and day, and to her soil, rich, rare, and sweet. In our minds, so be it. Gratitude to plants, the sun-facing, light-changing leaf and fine root hairs, standing still through wind and rain, their dance is in the flowing spiral grain. And in our minds, so be it. Gratitude to air, bearing the soaring swift and the silent owl at dawn. Breath of our song, clean spirit breeze. In our minds, so be it. Gratitude to wild beings, our brothers and sisters, teaching secrets, freedoms, and ways, who share with us their milk, self-complete, brave, and aware. In our minds, so be it. Gratitude to water, clouds, lakes, rivers, glaciers, holding or releasing, streaming through all our bodies, salty seas. In our minds, so be it. Gratitude to the sun, blinding, pulsing light through trunks of trees, through mists, warming caves where bears and snakes sleep. He who wakes us. In our minds, so be it. Gratitude to the sky, who holds billions of stars and goes yet beyond that, beyond all powers and thoughts, and yet is within us. Grandfather Space, the mind is his wife. So be it. I invite you now into a time of meditation and reflection. And as you're comfortable doing so, relax into your chair and some of the stress, just let it go. Rest your connections and support. The earth and the air and the water, the beings who support you, the family and friends that support you, all those unseen systems, roads and electricity, all of that supports you. Just feel that under you. Feel that holding you. Today we will gather once again to break bread together. And in another week or so, we'll gather again for Thanksgiving Day with our families and our friends, maybe some strangers. And we'll feast again on that day, and maybe we'll watch some football or go for a hike or engage in some weird family ritual that only we know about it. And yet most of us will never actually have harvested an ear of corn or picked green beans from the vine or had any kind of a personal relationship with the turkey that graces so many tables this time of year. Other hands will have done the harvesting. A vast network of machines and processes and businesses will have placed that harvest within the easy reach of those who can afford it. And the season is surrounded by all the symbols and stories of our civic mythos. The corn shocks and the cornucopia, the pumpkins and the pilgrims, and the first Thanksgiving. And they're all pressed into service of yet another marketing opportunity. Because it's pumpkin spice time again. So don't miss out. Now, I don't seek to denigrate the production part of this. It's pretty marvelous, even with all its flaws. And it is flawed. A lot of food goes to waste. People go hungry in the midst of plenty. Affordable food is often the least nutritious and the most harmful to bodies and minds. And we've discovered ways to preserve and store food, deliver it across thousands of miles so that a bad harvest is no longer life or death for us. And we seem to have placed ourselves above and outside the old cycles of nature. And yet, although we are far removed from the harvest, we still gather to give thanks at harvest time. There's something old at play there, something ancient. So, question, how many of you know about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maybe you heard of that. Yeah, not surprising, we're a pretty educated bunch. Now, I knew of that from my college days, but I thought it would be worth revisiting the subject for my topic today. And like so many things I thought I knew, it turned out I knew less than I imagined. The hierarchy of needs is usually presented as a pyramid of 5. And our most basic need is for physical survival, and so that's the first thing that motivates our behavior. So that first level is our physiological needs. Air, food, drink, shelter, clothing, warmth, sex, sleep. And if these needs aren't satisfied, the human body and mind can't function very well. Maslow considered these needs the most important, and that all the other needs became secondary until those needs are met. And after that come our needs for safety, for protection from the elements, the need for security, order, law, freedom from fear. And after our physiological and safety needs have been fulfilled, the third level of human needs is social, and it involves our feelings of belongingness. We need friendship, intimacy, trust, and acceptance. We need to receive and to give love and affection. We need to be part of a family, a team, a tribe, a community. Maslow defined the fourth level as our need for esteem. First, for self-esteem, for dignity, achievement, mastery of some skill, for independence. And the second was the esteem of others, reputation and respect, status and recognition. And finally, at the top of this pyramid, we have what Maslow called self-actualization needs. Realizing our personal potential, our self-fulfillment, seeking personal growth and peak experiences. It's a desire to become everything one is capable of becoming. Now, the pyramid image suggests that one can address the needs of a higher level only when the ones below it have been met. To quote Maslow, "It is quite true that man lives by bread alone, but only when there is no bread." To a man's desires when there is plenty of bread and his belly is chronically filled. At once other and higher needs emerge, and these, rather than physiological hungers, dominate the organism. And when these in turn are satisfied, again, new and still higher needs emerge, and so on. The scare quotes are his. But he noted later that the order of needs is actually very flexible. It's based on determined by more than one need. Now, after he first published his theory in 1943, he continued to refine and expand it, and he ultimately ended up with 8 levels instead of 5. So that 5th level split into 4. So that after the esteem level, we have cognitive needs, the needs for knowledge and understanding, of curiosity and exploration, and the need for meaning. After that, aesthetic needs, appreciation and the search for beauty, for balance, for form, for harmony to eye and ear. Then we have self-actualization needs, seeking personal growth and peak experiences. And then he says we come to our need for transcendence, motivation by values which transcend beyond the personal self, mystical experiences of unification with nature and the world, aesthetic experiences, service to others, the pursuit of science, religious faith, and so on. And the first 4 levels he referred to as deficiency needs, because if any of these are unfulfilled, you will be discontented or disturbed or in physical or emotional pain, and you will do something about that. And the next 4 he described as being or growth needs, which is the desire to be something more than just a contented animal and to ultimately transcend the self and be part of something bigger. Now, it's important to remember that this is a theory of motivation. We are all motivated by our needs and our desires, in which basic needs must be more or less met, rather than all or none, prior to higher needs. And these higher needs may not or may emerge once these lower needs have been satisfied, because there are many who are content with their basic needs fulfilled. He also believed that there are certain conditions that must be fulfilled in order for these basic needs to be satisfied. Freedom of speech, freedom to express oneself, and freedom to seek new information are a few of the prerequisites he saw. And that any blockages of these freedoms could prevent the satisfaction of these basic needs. It's interesting because these freedoms are cognitive and social, and they illustrate an important point, I think. As a psychologist, Maslow focused on individuals. But what seems blindingly obvious is that we can't fulfill any of these needs by ourselves. A single human being can't fulfill basic physiological needs by themselves. We depend on killing, harvesting, and eating other beings, plants and animals. Clean water and air require vast chemical and biological processes without which our survival would not be possible. And we depend on other human beings for our safety and our security, for love and belonging. Even our esteem needs are tightly woven into our relationships with others and the world. None of our needs can be met without social connection. and human beings' needs are not hierarchical. Life is way messier than that. Needs are, like most other things in nature, an interactive dynamic system anchored in our ability to make social connections. Because without connection and collaboration, there is no survival. Connection is a prerequisite for survival, physically and emotionally, and for the fulfillment of our needs for growth and transcendence. So I have a quote from Wendell Berry that I really love, and I'm going to repeat it again. I believe that the community, in the fullest sense, a place and all its creatures, is the smallest unit of health, and that to speak of the health of an isolated individual is a contradiction in terms. So what happens when we begin to think of these needs in terms of community? When we frame them in that way? When we say that the community needs air, food, drink, shelter, warmth, and sleep. And that if these needs are not satisfied, the community cannot function well. When we say that the community needs protection from the elements, that it needs security, order and stability, and freedom from fear. When we say that the community, too, has needs for love and belonging and affection, for community esteem and good reputation. When we say that the community has needs for actualization, what would that look like? And what about transcendence? So as we ask these questions, when we frame it in this way, we shift the center of our attention away from the self and onto the communities we are part of. And they help us discern whether our laws and institutions and processes are meeting the needs of both the individuals and the communities they serve, and how they may have lost their way. There are deficiencies everywhere, with the resulting suffering, discontent, and resentment. And correcting those deficiencies is one of the major tasks of our time. As I noted earlier, there is no imperative that higher motivations will emerge in an individual or a community, even if all our basic needs are met. Unless those motivations are nurtured and promoted, they may never emerge. This nurturing is the work of our faith. And we aren't the only ones doing it. There are many other faiths and secular institutions doing that work. I like to think of this all as an ecology. Something a little wild, not something tamed and ordered. And I see the first two levels, if you will, as the soil in which the seeds of our humanity are planted, providing nutrition and protection. And the seeds of that humanity need the light and warmth of love and belonging, the water of connection, the sense of purpose and meaning hidden in the heart of the seed. From that soil, there may grow a rich diversity that might flower into actualization and transcendence. And that is the harvest that we seek. And while we can nurture and promote, we cannot dictate or impose. We can't control the outcome. The Spirit of life flows through us and surrounds us, weaving all things together, and we are its servants and instruments, not its masters. It requires humility of us, and patience and courage and love. And this makes us better humans. And I think that's something to be thankful for. May it be so. Closing words come to us from Wendell Berry. People who know the garden in which their vegetables have grown and know the garden is healthy will remember the beauty of the growing plants. Perhaps in the dewy light of morning when gardens are at their best. Such a memory involves itself with the food and is one of the pleasures of eating. A significant part of the pleasure of eating is one's accurate consciousness of the lives and the world from which food comes. Eating with fullest pleasure that is, that does not depend on ignorance, is perhaps the profoundest enactment of our connection with the world. In this pleasure, we celebrate our dependence and our gratitude, for we are living from mystery, from creatures we did not make, and powers we cannot comprehend. Please join me in the words of our to extinguish the chalice. Please rise as you are willing and able, and let's join hands for our benediction. Three-way hand holding is allowed. May love and skill guide our hands.
May love and skill guide our hands.
May love and courage fill our hearts.
May love and courage fill our hearts.
May love and wisdom light our minds.
May love and wisdom light our minds.
May love flow through us and walk among us.
May love flow through us and walk among us.
As we live our lives.
As we live our lives.
And work to heal our world.
And work to heal our world.
Amen, amen, shalom, and blessed be. May it be so.
Amen.
Go in peace.